Hello everyone, thanks for coming by Living in the HOA again today. And today I wanted to follow up a little bit on something we started in a previous video, and that is explaining these marvelous processes that trees have and they follow in order to survive and to feed themselves. And in that process they use water and evaporate that water, and evaporating that water from their leaves causes them to cool down the tissues of their leaves and the surrounding air, so that they act like huge air conditioning units or evaporative coolers in the area. All trees do that. Every tree in this neighborhood does that. Every tree in your neighborhood does that. So this is a marvelous thing that goes on with trees, something I've looked at in my entire life, and would marvel at these trees and that benefit that they have. Some people think that trees don't contribute that much to cooling of the environment where our cities are, but they do. That's the way they're constituted, and they cool the environment, and they do it a lot more than we suspect. There's several benefits that trees provide as they process this water. They take in carbon dioxide, and in their leaves they combine the water that they take up from their roots, combine it with the carbon dioxide that comes in from the environment, and they produce a wonderful substance that's the basis of all life, and that is sugars. And it's not really if you imagine table sugar and that it's not good for your body, but the sugars are there to run the tree itself. And so that's what they do. They create those sugars in their leaves. And so I described to you how the trees take up water through their xylem, which is certain tissues that are designed like tubes, a conduit that gives constant suction on water and pulls it up all the way from the roots, from the soil, and pulls it up to the leaves, where it is involved in this process of production that is done in the sunlight. So the leaves have these cells in them called chloroplasts, where they combine the light from the sun with the carbon dioxide that is from the atmosphere and the water that is brought up from the roots. They combine that, and they take apart the carbon dioxide and the water and then recombine it into another molecule. It's actually an organic molecule that's based in carbon. It has carbon and hydrogen and oxygen mixed together. And they form an organic molecule called sugars. It's a simple sugar, and what's called a simple sugar means it's just got a limited number of carbon atoms in it, basically 3 carbon atoms that have also the hydrogen and oxygen. And the oxygen, part of that oxygen, is left hanging there, or left out of that process, and it is released by the leaves into the atmosphere again. So the trees produce oxygen, which we need to breathe. Every living thing needs it to breathe, and they make these sugars in the leaf, and then the sugars are shunted into another tube area that is called phloem, P-H-L-O-E-M. And it has nothing to do with flow of water or flow of anything. That's from a Greek word meaning bark, because that phloem is closer to the bark inside a tree, and the xylem that brought the water up is closer to the inside of the tree, toward the middle of the tree. But the sugars flow down through the tissues, these little tubes that are all stacked together, one on top of the other, and the sugars are put in those tubes by the leaves, and with a little bit of water that keeps it liquid, and that increased and continual process of producing sugars creates pressure that pushes the sugars down through those tubes into the rest of the tree, and the sugars will go all the way down to the roots, or they can go down and go sideways to the branches, But normally the branches are producing their own sugar, so they can live on that as well, and make more tissues to build the size of the branches and make more leaves. And then the sugar is pushed on down through the plant. A part of it is stored, and when it is stored, it goes into starches that are stored in the tissues of the tree. And down into the roots to build more roots, and even to share with the mycorrhizae, which is the fungal roots that I explained to you last time. That the tree has a symbiotic relationship with these mycorrhizae, which is the fungal roots, in exchange for the sugars that the tree gives up and gives to those mycorrhizae. They exchange that and give us water, or give the trees water and minerals that the tree needs to build more of its tissues. So that's a mutually rewarding relationship that the tree has with the mycorrhizae, the fungal roots that are out in the soil. They're very extensive. They go all through the soils. You can't even see them. Of course, it's in underground and out of sight, out of mind for most people. Let me talk about the sugars for a second. What the sugars are that are produced are glucose and fructose. You may have heard those terms before. Glucose is, everybody needs that. And the fructose helps to make other tissues in the tree. And so that glucose and fructose are put together, are bound together by the leaf into a larger molecule called sucrose. And sucrose is like the maleta, the suitcase that is carrying the sugar down through these tissues, the phloem tissues, these tubes. And so as they go down through those tissues down to the rest of the tree, they are taken into the cells there, and the sucrose is broken apart again into its components, the smaller sugar molecules of glucose and fructose, and then used in the biological processes of the wood and the leaves and the roots and all of this to build more tissues, to heal the parts of the tree that need healing, to grow over wounds, and to be stored in the tissues for future use as well. Now there are also parts of those sugars that are turned into phytochemicals that are used by the tree to conduct chemical warfare against herbivores, or the animals that would want to eat the leaves of the tree, and insects that would want to infest and eat the tree, as well as certain kinds of fungus that would want to invade the tree and to eat its tissues as well. So these chemicals, the phytotoxic chemicals, are chemical warfare constituents that are used by the tree to do battle against these animals that would want to eat the tree and ultimately destroy it. So the tree can't run away. It can't just pick up and leave. So it has to do battle right there against these animals, the herbivores, or the large animals that would want to eat it, the insects, the fungi that would want to eat that tree. So it does chemical warfare against them. It messes with their digestive systems, with flavors they don't like, and so these animals would leave the tree alone because of that. So we'll be talking about that in a future video. I'll be describing how that works. It's a marvelous thing that has equipped trees to stand their ground and to win the battle against these animals. So we'll talk about that a little bit as well. But these sugars are used for all of those purposes, for growth and repair and defense. And so we'll talk about that in the future. But suffice it to say that these are very important. These sugars are extremely important for the trees to be able to survive. And so that's what the tree does with those sugars. They're sent down through the tree, and they perform these various services. It's just a tremendous process, and the more I learned about it, as when I was a kid, I went and walked among the trees and just appreciated how beautiful they were, and was amazed at how big they were and how they lived together in the forest and what they did. I didn't understand any of this about the chemistry of trees and the benefits they provide us and all of that. I didn't have any idea about that before. As I went through school and became an environmental engineer, I learned about that, and then later as I became an arborist and a tree risk assessor, I learned all about this, and so I wanted to share that with you. And ultimately, as I've said before, I'll say again, the objective here on this channel is to help you learn about the trees and to appreciate them, because unless you learn of something and rub shoulders with something, you can't appreciate it, you can't value it. So I want to help you appreciate trees and the fantastic things they do to survive and to produce the benefits that we all need in the urban forest. And so I'm hoping this has been valuable for you today, and it helps you understand a little bit more about trees, and we'll continue that in the future. The next video I'm going to be putting on our channel is about the HOA itself. I wanted to talk a little bit about HOAs, what they do, are they important, are they valuable, are they protective, or are they destructive of your rights? And if you pay fees in an HOA, what those fees go toward, and how that HOA works to help you accomplish your goal as a homeowner living in that community. So we'll be talking about that in the next video to help you also appreciate and value the HOA that you are a part of, voluntarily a part of. Because this is all a voluntary organization. It's a voluntary living lifestyle, and so I want to make sure that you understand that, and ultimately hope that you participate in your HOA, because it requires the participation of the people that live in that community for it to be successful. So I want your HOA, wherever you are, whether you're in the Phoenix area like I am, or whether you're whatever state you're in, north, south, east, or west, that you can appreciate your HOA. HOAs are tremendously increasing in numbers. I'll talk about that in the future. Thank you for coming today. It does, and we'll talk next time. Thanks for coming by. I appreciate you. If you would subscribe to the channel, and let your friends know so they can subscribe to it as well. I want to make sure that this word gets out to everybody, because ignorance is the way that mistakes are done, and lack of appreciation. I want you to understand your HOA and appreciate your HOA and what it does, and to actually participate in your HOA. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.